Most collectibles, they're just noise. We've all heard that story, right? Don't invest in baseball cards or movie props because the value you think they have just doesn't really exist in the real world.
It's true. The whole thing is driven by sentiment, and sentiment changes. There's no standard for it.
But today, we are talking about the massive exception to that rule, the world of classic motorcycles. We're not talking about some rusty old bikes in a barn. We're talking about machines that are consistently hitting six figures at auction.
And there's real data to back it up.
Exactly. So our mission today is to take you inside that market.
Right. We've pulled from two key sources for this. First, a great list of 10 classic bikes that are worth a fortune right now. And second, maybe more importantly, a guide to the expert framework for how they're valued. I want to give you the formula.
That's the key. We're not just looking at the big price tags. We're giving you the tools to understand why they're so high. And it really boils down to two things, right? Rarity and, crucially, condition. Age alone means almost nothing.
Oh, condition is everything. That's where the whole expert framework really begins. I mean, one of our sources put it perfectly. Just because a bike is from 1935 doesn't mean it isn't a rusty heap of broken garbage.
Huh. Right. So how do you draw the line? How do you go from rusty heap to, a real investment?
You have to lean on standardized data. The industry standard is something like the Comprehensive Vintage Motorcycle Price Guide.
Okay.
And this guide, it covers 115 different brands, from 1901 all the way to 2005. The data comes from, get this, over 450 experts around the world.
450? That's a huge cool.
Yeah.
So how do they stop, say, one crazy auction in California from throwing off the whole average?
It's a weighted model. They look at everything: auction results, dealer sales, online sales, even private deals, if they can be verified. So one anomaly can't really skew the consensus. It's about genuine demand, not just speculation.
And at the heart of all this is the 6-point condition rating system. We really have to break this down because this is the main tool.
It's the absolute foundation. It's a scale from condition 1 to condition 6. Condition 1 is, well, it's the holy grail. Showroom new, perfect restoration, maybe a 0-mile original that was never ridden. It has to be completely stock.
In condition 6.
That's the other extreme. Poor, not running, maybe it's missing parts. Basically, it's a basket case. A parts bike.
Let's make this real. Our source had a great example, the Honda Trail 90. Say you see one for sale. It's 50 years old, 3,900 miles. Asking price is $2,100. You might think that's a great deal.
Right, your gut says buy it. But the guide brings you back to reality. If that Trail 90 was a true condition one, like it just rolled off the line yesterday, it could be worth up to $7,500.
Wow. Okay, so that's a huge difference. So that $2,100 bike, what's wrong with it that's pushing it down the scale? What makes it, say, a condition 5?
Well, let's look at condition 4 first. That's good. Maybe it needs a little paint touch-up, some chrome is worn, but it runs well. That's probably around a $3,000 bike. But if it's closer to condition 5, fair, you're seeing obvious problems. Missing keys, maybe it has aftermarket mirrors, rusty wheel spokes, or it needs serious engine work. The value just plummets based on those details.
It really pays to know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something earlier, that sometimes rarity can just completely override the condition.
Absolutely. This is where it gets really interesting. The prime example is the 1937 Crocker small tank. But there are so few of them. I mean, its mere existence is valuable.
So even if it's a basket case?
Even if it's a literal condition 6 basket of parts, non-running, incomplete, it can still pull in $100,000.
$100,000 for parts? That's insane.
It's just that rare.
Okay, that idea, that extreme rarity, takes us right into the first group of bikes on our list, the ones valued for being historical firsts.
Exactly. Let's start with the oldest one here.
The Marshmetz. It's sold for $92,000. And I have to admit, I'd never even heard of it.
Well, you're paying for the man behind it. Charles H. Metz is the guy credited with actually coining the term motorcycle back in 1899. This bike is a physical piece of that history.
Wait a second. So, almost 6 figures for a linguistic milestone. That feels, I don't know, disconnected from the machine itself?
It's an outlier, for sure, but it's more than just the word. He and his partner, David Mosh, developed what might be America's first 90-degree V-twin engine.
Ah, okay.
So when you look at it, yeah, it looks like a bicycle with an engine strapped to it. But that V-twin, that's the beginning of a whole lineage of performance bikes. You're buying the blueprint.
That puts the price in context. It's like kinetic intellectual property.
Okay, moving ahead a bit, we have the BMW R62, about $52,000 from 1928.
Yep, and the value here is scarcity. They only ever built about 4,300 of them.
And it was a good bike.
It was a fantastic bike for the era. Super reliable, a great tourer, which was really rare back then. It could hit 70 miles per hour, and it was used in racing a lot. It had that duality, touring and racing. And that brings us to bikes that are valuable purely for their racing history, like the Norton Manx 30M, going for around $35,000.
The Manx is all about legacy. It was all over the Isle of Man TT, ridden by legends like Mike Halewood.
Right.
But its influence went beyond the track. It became the definitive look for the cafe racer. Kids in England in the 60s were copying that style. You're not just buying a fast bike, you're buying a cultural icon.
A look that defined a generation. That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's shift into the superbike era. This is where we see two totally different ways a bike can become valuable.
Right. You've got the bikes that had massive widespread influence, and then you have the ones that were super limited, built for racing specials from day one.
Let's start with the one that changed the game. The Honda CB750. Sells for about $16,000.
It's legendary. Considered the first true superbike. When it landed in the 70s, well, it was basically the end of the British motorcycle industry.
But wait a minute, Honda made a ton of these. You can find them everywhere. How does a bike that common become worth 16 grand? It sort of breaks the rarity rule.
This is where we come back to condition, but with a twist. Think of it as preservation as rarity.
Okay.
Because they made so many and they were so reliable, people used them, they crashed them, they modified them, they chopped them up into custom bikes. So finding one that's perfectly preserved, totally stock with low miles, that's the unicorn.
Ah, so the scarcity isn't in how many they made, but in how many survived in their original form.
Exactly. A collector wants the museum piece, not some half-baked cafe racer with the wrong pipes. The value is in the preservation.
That's a great insight. Now, speaking of design, we have to talk about Ducati. The 750 Sport at around $26,000.
Just a beautiful machine. It's timeless. The racing stance, that classic gas tank, the single seat. It really set the design language for modern classic bikes.
And that design DNA continued with the 916, right? Designed by Massimo Tamburini, selling for over $31,000.
Oh, the 916 is a masterpiece. And what's amazing is that its performance still holds up today. It doesn't feel like a relic when you ride one. It was just so far ahead of its time.
So this is where the price ranges get wild. Let's talk about the Honda RC30. Prices go from under $30,000 all the way up to $121,000. Why is there a $90,000 gap for the same bike?
That gap is all about what are called homologation specials. Honda only built the RC30 so they could go racing. It was a technical marvel. The dual headlights, that single-sided swing arm, just iconic.
But the price gap?
It comes down to condition 1 plus provenance. The $30,000 bike is probably a great example you can actually ride. The $120,000 one, that's probably still in the original shipping crate, 0 miles. It's an artifact, not a vehicle.
Got it. And for pure scarcity, we have the Suzuki GSX R750RK, around 38 grand.
This is a masterclass in creating rarity. Suzuki only made 500 of them, period, built purely for racing. But here's the kicker.
What's that?
None of them were ever officially sold in the United States.
Yeah.
So if you own one here, you have something truly exclusive. It turns a rare bike into a whole other story.
That brings us to the top of the market, the Holy Grails.
And we have to start with a weird one. The Harley-Davidson VR1000, it sold for $90,000.
Harley's attempt at a superbike, right?
Yeah, they developed it for AMA superbike racing in the late 80s, but by the time it was ready, the tech was already outdated. It was a fascinating flop.
So it's valuable because it failed.
It's valuable because it's so incredibly rare. They only sold 55 of them. For a diehard Harley collector, you have to have it to complete the story. Even the weird parts. Its failure makes it a grail.
The missing link. But the undisputed champion, the top of the list, has to be the Vincent Black Shadow. We're talking $93,000 all the way up to $117,000.
The two-wheeled Bentley, that nickname says it all. It was premium, it was expensive, it was built for high society.
And what made it so special?
It was the combination of that refinement with just brutal, world-beating performance. The 1948 model broke land speed records at Bonneville. Its official top speed was 125 miles per hour.
Unbelievable for that time.
It was just viciously fast. So it ticks every single box. Rarity, performance, legendary status. It's the definition of a blue chip investment.
So when we wrap all this up, what's the big takeaway for you listening to this? We've seen that value comes from two main places, right? Either being a historical first like the Marchments or a performance icon like the Vincent.
But now you have the tools. You have to use that 6-point condition scale to judge what you're seeing. You can now tell the difference between a high asking price based on, just sentiment and a real assessed value.
That critical thinking is everything. Condition 4 CB750 is just a different asset than a Condition 1 RC30.
And knowing that is the key.
Absolutely. We've established that the pristine, rare bikes are worth a fortune. But I can't stop thinking about that 1937 Crocker. $100,000 for a basket case. For pile parts, if that's the floor for extreme rarity, what else is out there forgotten in some old barn? That's the real hunt, isn't it? Finding that two-wheeled Bentley covered in dust,